अजीज़ तलबा और तालबात, फ़रूक फाउंडेशन ऑनलाइन स्कूल के ज़रिए यकसा नसाब के मुताबिक तालीम हासिल करें। अगर हमारी वीडियोस पसंद आएँ तो चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें और दोस्तों के साथ शेयर करें और बेल आइकन को लाजमी दबाएं ताकि आइंदा आने वाली तालीमी वीडियोस आप हासिल कर सकें।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम बच्चों, उम्मीद है आप सब खैरियत से होंगे। बच्चों, ऑनलाइन स्कूल से आप मुकम्मल तालीम हासिल करके बोर्ड का इम्तहान बराए जमात नहम और दहम बेहतर तौर पर पास कर सकते हैं। आप अपनी उम्र और तालीम के मुताबिक मज़ीद तालीम हासिल करें। वालिदैन से फ़ोन या कंप्यूटर पर हमारी वीडियोस के ज़रिए तालीम हासिल करने की दरख्वास्त करें। रोज़ाना 1 से 2 घंटे ऑनलाइन पढ़ाई करें और जब आप स्कूल जाएंगे तो आपको मज़ीद किसी मदद की ज़रूरत नहीं होगी। इस तरह पढ़ाई करके अपना वक्त और वालिदैन के अखराजात में बचत कर सकते हैं। ऑनलाइन स्कूल की कोई फ़ीस नहीं है। आप जूम पर भी क्लासेस का फ़ायदा उठा सकेंगे। हर मज़मून की मुकम्मल तालीमी वीडियोस मौजूद हैं। Students, I am taking all these contents of this chapter from the Punjab textbook board. Today we are going to discuss unit number 11, Great Expectations, Azim Tawakkuat. First of all, I am giving you some brief introduction about this chapter. Great Expectation is a novel by Charles Dickens. It depicts the growth and personal development of an orphan named Pip. Similar to Dickens' memories of his own childhood, in his early years, the young Pip seems powerless to stand against injustice or to ever realize his dreams for a better life. However, as he grows into a useful worker and then an educated young man, he reaches an important realization: grand schemes and dreams are never what they first seem to be. Pip, a young orphan living with his sister and her husband in the marshes of Kent, sits in a cemetery one evening looking at his parents' tombstones. Suddenly, an escaped convict springs up from behind a tombstone, grabs Pip, and orders him to bring him food and a file for his leg irons. Pip obeys, but the fearsome convict is soon captured anyway. The convict protects Pip by claiming to have stolen the item itself. One day, Pip is taken by his uncle Pumblechook to play at Satis house, the home of the wealthy dowager Miss Havisham, who is extremely eccentric. She wears an old wedding dress everywhere she goes and keeps all the clocks in her house stopped at the same time. During his visit, he meets a beautiful young girl named Estella, who treats him coldly and contemptuously. Nevertheless, he falls in love with her and dreams of becoming a wealthy gentleman so that he might be worthy of her. He even hopes that Miss Havisham intends to make him a gentleman and may marry him to Estella. But his hopes are dashed when, after months of regular visits to Satis house, Miss Havisham decides to help him become a common laborer in his family's business. Uh, Pip is apprenticed to his brother-in-law, Joe, who is the village blacksmith. Pip works in the forge unhappily, struggling to better his education with the help of the plain, kind Biddy, and encountering Joe's malicious labor Orlick. One night, after an altercation with Orlick, Pip's sister, known as Mrs. Joe, is viciously attacked and becomes a mute invalid. From her signals, Pip suspects that Orlick was responsible for the attack. Great expectations follow the childhood and young adult years of a Pip, a blacksmith's apprentice in a country village. He suddenly comes into a large fortune from a mysterious benefactor and moves to London, where he enters high society. He thinks he knows where the money has came from, but he turns out to be sadly mistaken. The story also follows Pip's dealing with Estella, a young woman he adores but who cannot return his love. Great Expectation was written by Charles Dickens in 1860 and 1861. The mid-19th century was a time of great social change in Britain. There was increasing movement from the countryside to the towns. Education was slowly improving and the legal system was being changed. The novel reflects such changes. So, student, this was a brief introduction about this chapter. Now we move on to the translation of this chapter. First paragraph. The novel Great Expectations was written by Charles Dickens, a famous English author. The story took place in England in the 19th century. The main character is called Pip. We read about his life from childhood to manhood. नावल ग्रेट एक्सपेक्टेशन यानी कि अजीम तवक्कुआत एक मशहूर अंग्रेज़ मुसन्निफ चार्ल्स डिकन्स ने लिखा है। ये कहानी 19वीं सदी में बरतानिया में रोनुमा हुई। मरकज़ी किरदार पिप है। हम बचपन से जवानी तक इसकी ज़िंदगी के बारे में पढ़ते हैं। स्टूडेंट, देयर इज़ अ क्वेश्चन इन अ बॉक्स, हैव यू read एन novel by Charles Dickens? So the answer is yes, I have read 2 novels by Charles Dickens. They are A Tale of Two Cities and Great Expectations. Second paragraph. The story begins when Pip was a lonely orphan. He was brought up by his sister. She was very strict and hard with him. His best friend was Joe, his sister's husband. He was kind and warm-hearted. He loved Pip as if he were his own son. कहानी उस वक्त शुरू होती है जब पिप एक तन्हा यतीम था। इसकी बहन ने उसकी परवरिश की। वो उसके साथ बड़ी सख्त गिर थी। उसका बेहतरीन दोस्त उसकी बहन का शौहर जो था, वो बहुत मेहरबान और शफीक था। वो पिप से ऐसे मोहब्बत करता था जैसे वो उसका अपना बेटा हो। Student, there is another question in a box. What kind of boy was Pip? So the answer is Pip was a lonely orphan. He was kind and warm-hearted. There are some difficult words, their pronunciation, meanings and synonym related to the paragraph number 1 and 2. First one is famous, means mashhoor, well known. Expectations, tawakkuat, assumptions. Character, kirdar, means personality. Lonely, tanhai, isolated. Orphan, yatim, child whose parents dead. Strict, sakht, means harsh. Brought up, parvarish pai, bring up. Warm-hearted, garam josh, means kind. There are some difficult words and their sentences related to the paragraph number 1 and 2. First one is famous. Ali is famous in his class. Expectations. These expectations have been only partially fulfilled. Character. The story has colorful characters. बट यहाँ पर कुछ डिफ़िकल्ट वर्ड्स के सेंटेंसेस बना दिए गए हैं, बाकी के आपने खुद से घर में प्रैक्टिस करनी है। इन डिफ़िकल्ट वर्ड्स के आपने स्पेलिंग्स को याद रखना है, मीनिंग्स और सिनोनिम को भी याद करना है। पैराग्राफ नंबर 3. One day Pip gave something to eat and drink to a prisoner who had escaped from prison. The man was recaptured by soldiers and taken away, but he never forgot Pip's kindness. एक दिन पिप ने एक कैदी को जो जेल से फरार हुआ था कुछ खाने पीने को दिया। वो आदमी सिपाहियों के हाथों दोबारा गिरफ्तार हुआ और ले जाया गया, लेकिन वो पिप की हमदर्दी को कभी नहीं भूला। पैराग्राफ नंबर 4. Later Pip was told that he would be given a lot of money. This was so that he could receive a good education in London and become a better person. बाद में पिप को पता चला कि उसे बहुत ज़्यादा दौलत मिलेगी। वो उतनी थी कि वो लंदन से अच्छी तालीम हासिल कर सकता था और एक अच्छा इंसान बन सकता था। Student, there are some difficult words, their pronunciation, meanings and synonym related to the paragraph number 3 and 4. First one is prisoner, कैदी, inmate. Escaped, फरार हुआ, broken free. Recaptured, दोबारा पकड़ा जाना, recover. Forgot, भूल गया, neglect. Receive, हासिल करना, get. Kindness, मेहरबानी, affection. Taken away, ले जाया गया, remove it. Later, बाद में, afterward. There are some difficult words and their sentences related to the paragraph number 3 and 4. First one is prisoner. The prisoner was put on probation. Escaped, he escaped from prison. Recaptured, he was trying to recapture the happiness of his youth. बेटा यहाँ पर कुछ डिफ़िकल्ट वर्ड्स के सेंटेंसेस बना दिए गए हैं, बाकी के आपने खुद से घर में प्रैक्टिस करनी है। इन डिफ़िकल्ट वर्ड्स के आपने स्पेलिंग्स को याद करना है, इनकी प्रोनाउंसिएशन, मीनिंग्स और सिनोनिम को भी याद करना है। पैराग्राफ नंबर 5। In London, Pip studied hard. He received money regularly, but he did not know where or who it came from. He lived in a flat with a young man who had little money but who worked for an insurance agent. They became friends. After some years, Pip was visited by the prisoner whom he had helped as a child. लंदन में पिप ने बहुत मेहनत से पढ़ाई की। उसे रकम बाकायदगी से मिलती रही, लेकिन वो नहीं जानता था कि ये कहाँ से और किसके ज़रिए आती है। वो एक नौजवान आदमी के साथ फ्लैट में रहता था जिसके पास पैसों की कमी थी और वो एक बीमा एजेंट के लिए काम करता था। वो दोस्त बन गए। चंद सालों बाद पिप से वो कैदी मिलने आया जिसकी बचपन में उसने मदद की थी। The man had been sent with other convicts to Australia and had become a very wealthy farmer there. In fact, he was the one that Pip's allowance came from. He wanted Pip to have the advantage of education and money. Although he was not a gentleman himself, actually he was still wanted by the police in England. उस आदमी को दूसरे मुजरिमों के साथ ऑस्ट्रेलिया भेज दिया गया था और वो वहाँ काफ़ी दौलतमंद किसान बन गया था। असल में ये वही था जिससे पिप के लिए पैसे आते थे। अगरचे वो खुद एक शरीफ आदमी नहीं था, लेकिन वो चाहता था कि पिप तालीम और दौलत से फ़ायदा उठाए। दरहकीकत बरतानिया में वो अभी भी पुलिस को मतलूब था। Student, there is a question in a box. What changed Pip's life? So the answer is a man whom Pip fed in his miseries helped Pip later with money. Pip got education in London due to that man's help. This changed Pip's life. There are some difficult words, their pronunciation, meanings and synonym related to the paragraph number 5. First one, regularly, बाकायदगी से means constant. Insurance, बीमा, security. Wealthy, दौलतमंद, rich. In fact, दर हकीकत, in reality. Allowance, वजीफ़ा या रकम. Money. Advantage, फ़ायदे means benefit. Wanted, मतलूबा यानी कि required. Actually, दरअसल, literally. Although, अगरचा, even if. There are some difficult words and their sentences related to the paragraph number 5. First one, regularly. The streets are wide and regularly laid out. Insurance. The insurance company is responsible for this case. Wealthy. Is he as wealthy as you? बेटे यहाँ पर कुछ डिफ़िकल्ट वर्ड्स के सेंटेंसेस बना दिए गए हैं, बाकी के आपने ख़ुद से घर में एज अ होमवर्क प्रैक्टिस करनी है। इन डिफ़िकल्ट वर्ड्स के आपने स्पेलिंग्स को याद रखना है, मीनिंग्स, सिनोनियम और प्रोनाउंसिएशन को भी आपने पढ़ते हुए देखना है। पैराग्राफ नंबर 6। Pip and his friend decided that London was too dangerous for the wanted man. They thought that Pip should take him abroad. As they attempted to board a ship, he was caught by the police. At this trial in court, he was sentenced to death by the judge. पिप और इसके दोस्त ने फ़ैसला किया कि लंदन में इस मतलूबा आदमी के लिए बहुत ख़तरनाक जगह थी। उन्होंने सोचा कि पिप को उसे बैरून मुल्क ले जाना चाहिए। जैसे ही उन्होंने बहरी जहाज़ में सवार होने की कोशिश की, पुलिस ने उसे पकड़ लिया। अदालत में अपने फ़ैसले के दौरान जज ने उसे सज़ाए मौत सुना दी। Before he could be hanged, he died in prison. By law, all his money belonged to the government, so Pip had to find a job to support himself. He became a clerk in his friend's office. Years later, he became part owner of the insurance firm. So he had a successful career as a result of his own efforts and not because of the fortune that he had been promised. इससे पहले कि उसे फांसी दी जाती, वो कैद में ही मर गया। कानूनी तौर पर उसकी तमाम दौलत हुकूमत की थी। चनाचे पिप को अपनी खातिर मुलाजमत ढूंढना पड़ी। वो अपने दोस्त के दफ्तर में क्लर्क बन गया। कई सालों बाद वो बीमा कंपनी का जुज़वी मालिक बन गया। चनाचे उसने अपनी मेहनत के नतीजे में एक कामयाब ज़िंदगी हासिल कर ली, बजाय इस दौलत के जिसका उससे वादा किया गया था। There is a question in a box. How did Pip become a successful businessman? So the answer is Pip worked as a clerk. He worked very hard and became one of the owners of an insurance firm. In this way, he became a successful businessman. बेटा यहाँ पर कुछ डिफ़िकल्ट वर्ड्स, उनकी प्रोनाउंसिएशन, मीनिंग्स और सिनोनिम दिए गए हैं. फर्स्ट वन डेंजरस, ख़तरनाक, थ्रेटनिंग. ट्रायल आजमाइश, केस. बोर्ड सवार होना, सेलिंग. सपोर्ट मदद करना, हेल्प. बिलोंग टू ताल्लुक़ होना, बी ओन्ड बाय. ऑनर मालिक मीन्स होल्डर. एफर्ट्स कोशिशें, अटेम्प्ट्स. फॉर्चून किस्मत, फेट. There are some difficult words and their sentences related to the paragraph number 6. First one, dangerous. It would be dangerous to move now. Trial. The case never came to trial. Board. The project is on the drawing board. So student, this is all about our today's lesson. I hope आपको इस चैप्टर की बेटा अच्छी तरह समझ आ गई होगी. इन तमाम डिफ़िकल्ट वर्ड्स, प्रोनाउंसिएशन, मीनिंग्स और सेंटेंसेस को आपने याद रखना है. अपने होमवर्क के तौर पर इनकी प्रैक्टिस करनी है. बच्चों, अगर आपको हमारी वीडियोस पसंद आएँ तो इस चैनल को लाइक और सब्सक्राइब करें ताकि आप आने वाली हर वीडियो से आगाह रह सकें. शुक्रिया.